So let's start by opening a new metric part file. And we'll go up to our line command, and anywhere on the white area we'll just click and make sure we come down horizontal. And I want that line to be 70. Enter, and then click to accept. And I'm going to come out 50, and again make sure the line is horizontal. 50, enter, accept. And then we're going to come up 15, enter. Now I'll come out 40 with a horizontal line, and up 40 vertical, and come back and line up to where I was. And we can line up again and click on the endpoint to finish. Now let's just zoom out a little bit on this, and we'll add some dimensions. I'm going to go to the Smart Dimension command and just touch on the line and touch on the other line, and I can just walk around the model like this. I know that's 15, and once I've got those three in, I'm going to move over to the smaller icon just on the right, the distance between, and I'd like to go from this line to this line and accept that. Now I also have a circle. I'll go up and select the circle at the center of this larger rectangle, and I can just place that, and if it's a wrong size I can go back to my dimension command, touch on the circle and accept that, and that's 25. So now I can type in 25. Now I just added some dimensional relationships. Now I need to go and add some geometric relationships. Why do I need to go up here and add these geometric relationships? Because if I go back to the select button and just say, for example, I change this 50. Now I just touch on it, and you'll see a little form here where it says 50 in there. Now if I go right in there with the cursor and roll that, see what happens? All of a sudden that doesn't line up. So I wanted this to line up with this. So I'll just hit undo to get it back to 50. So I need this to line up for starters. It looks like the circle may not be in the right place. If I go and click on the 70 and just put my cursor in there and roll this up and down, I'll see how that's turning inside out and the circle's not staying in the center. So I'll go and hit undo there. So that's why I need to add some geometric constraints, and the first one I'd like to focus on is the horizontal vertical constraint. So I touch on the horizontal vertical, and if you hesitate it'll show you actually what it's doing here. Click on the horizontal vertical, and I'll say I would like this line, the end of this line, and I've got to click right at the end and go right down and make sure I see the end of that line, and it adds this vertical constraint between those two. Now if you don't see these little symbols, the little plus signs on the lines and that constraint we just put in there, if you don't see that, then come up here under Relate, and there's a little toggle right there. See this little toggle? Relationship handles. See how that turns these on and off. Hit it again, toggles back on, toggles back off. So both these icons, maintain relationships and relationship handles, should be highlighted in blue. Make sure they're on. Also, I'd like this to be centered. I want this line to stay centered, so I'll click on that midpoint and click on that midpoint, and now that's centered. So if I go back and now if I touch on 50, see how that maintains that relationship? But I've got a problem here where the circle doesn't seem to be staying in the center. So I'll just hit undo to go back to 50 there, and I'd like the circle to stay in the center, and to do that I'd like to go and get the center of the circle, but I'm not seeing the center. Where is the center of this circle? Now I simply just come across, and I don't click, I just sweep across here. There it is. So as soon as I just swept across there and said, please tell me about yourself, it came back and said, there's the center. So now I can get the center of that and line up with the center of that. And I can do the same thing again, the center of that with the center of that. Now if I go back and modify the dimensions, just wind that up and down, see how the circle stays in the center? And the same if I go to the 50, put my cursor in where it says 50 and wind that in and out, it maintains those relationships. Now to create the 3D model, I'd simply just go to the select button, click the select, come anywhere into this region, click. If you can't see the arrow properly, you can always rotate it around to see it better. Make sure you just click at the end of the arrow, and I can push that in whatever distance, say 12.